everyone for joining today. Taking time out of their day. I know it's lunchtime, so feel free to multitask and eat lunch during this presentation, but I'm really excited to be speaking with everyone today and sharing our views and our opinions around the patient journey and how to get to treatment success. So that being said, we're going to talk today about patient and physician conversation and the dynamic that's going on out there between patients and physicians. I'll go through some adherence data, and I want to apologize up front. I realized as I was going through my slides a little bit before this webinar that a lot of my slides do not have the actual sources on the slide, and they're in my slide notes, which of course you all cannot see. So if anybody has a question about a source or would like to request a source where some information came from, please just lob in a question and we'll be sure to get that information to you. So particularly in the adherence data section, I'll be going over a lot of statistics and numbers. So if you do require any of that information around the source, please just let us know. From there, we're going to go through effective and engaging communication with patients and what works, what doesn't work. We'll then talk about the patient journey. What is a patient journey? What does it mean, and how can it help you? I'll then hand over to Nareda, and she'll go through some best practices, and then together we'll take some questions. Okay? So let's go through the patient and physician conversation. How many people out there have walked into their doctor's office and said, I have a sinus infection, you can prescribe me Zithromax, I'm not worried about the antibiotic resistance because I've only been on it once this year so far. Very typical conversation with the doctor for all of us. I know I've done it. I probably drive my physician crazy when I walk into his office because I've already self-diagnosed myself. But we as patients are more empowered now than we have ever been in our entire lives, than our parents have been, than our grandparents ever been. And that's partly because of technology. We have the ability to get information at our fingertips. We have so much access to information. We are now a new patient for physicians because we are online searching for answers. And these answers that we're searching for, it's not equivalent to, shopping the latest fall trends and you're looking for what's the, next brown boot I need to have. These are emotional answers that we're looking for that really are heartfelt and specific to us, that we want to find information that's relevant, that's accurate, and again, that emotionally connects with us. So patients have come into a new era in the healthcare arena. Let me just make sure this builds. So what does this mean for us? Well, it really means we need to have a whole content strategy when talking to patients. We have to make sure that the content we're delivering is not just relevant to them, but that we're putting it in the right places. Because we have so much access to this information in so many different channels and avenues, we have to make sure that we're finding the right avenues where patients are in the demographics that we're looking at, that we want to communicate with them, and knowing that all information out there is going to be shared, it's going to be distributed, and what are those tools and how does it all happen? So really we have to take all of this into consideration when looking at patients and how to communicate with them. So now we talked a little bit about the patient. I want to talk a little bit about the physicians and what they're dealing with this new empowered patient. So they now have to talk to patients about the information they're getting. So when a patient walks into their office, similar to the scenario I just built for you about the Zithromax and the sinus infection, they now have to say, well, how do you know you have a sinus infection? Where did you find that information? What have you found online? And then get into the conversation about, well, what are your symptoms? And oh, by the way, let me give you a medical exam to diagnose you myself. But they also cannot just write a script or call in your script and send you on your way. It's now having that conversation of, here's a script for you. Here's an app you might want to download. Here's a website you might want to go to that tells you more about your treatment and the side effects. It's really engaging in that conversation with the patient so that they can better take care of their health. And then I think, physicians really need to acknowledge the fact that there's no way they can know everything that is out there today. There's a lot of misinformation that's being put out on the internet, and there's a lot of accurate information, but physicians have to know that there's no way they can keep up with all of the information that's being put out there and all of the information that their patients have access to that are coming into their office. So what is this doing? It's creating a gap between physicians and patients and that conversation that's happening between them. You have your HCP who has limited time and tools for helping patients, and then you have your patient who emotions are playing a really strong role in their decision making. Quality of life is a huge role in their decision making when it comes to treatments and their care. So those two equations really create this gap in the conversation that they're having, and it's a challenge that we need to overcome. So why is this happening, and why aren't the patient and physician looking through the same lens? You have your HCP who's looking through the lens and saying your disease is a lion and it's going to overcome you, and you have the patient looking at it like, you know, it's a kitten, it's nothing big, it's small, I'll get through this. So why are we having this? This perception? Is it because of all that misinformation out there that patients have access to and that are confusing them? Are some of the contributing factors because of health literacy? And I'm going to get into health literacy and what that means and the effect that that has in the coming slides. But, you know, are some of the reasons due to health literacy? We need to explore that a little bit more.